What's up guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Evans, and in this video I want to share with you the top 5 settings that you should change on your Sony A7 IV before you take it out for your first shoot, or even before you shoot your very first image with this camera. Now this new menu is exciting, and there's a lot of settings that I personally change before I start shooting, but in my opinion these are the top 5 that everyone should change as soon as you get your hands on the camera. So let's jump in the menu right away and I'll show you this top 5 settings. Okay, so here we are in the Sony A7 IV menu, and before anything I just want to give you guys a few guidelines as to how you navigate this menu. The menu is separated into these tabs on the left hand side. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tabs. However, if you switch your mode dial to video, you would see that the second option changes to this video shooting settings, right? So there is a separate settings for video and separate settings for photos, and so this makes it about 8 tabs in total. So navigating the menu is very simple. Whilst you're in the menu, you can use the FN key to move quickly from tab to tab, or you can use the back dial to move up and down. In this case, it moves through each and every single page and then moves to the next tab, like that. One more tip before we jump in. If you're in any of the menu settings and you are not sure what that item does, you can quickly press the C4 or the delete button, and you will get, a help menu like this telling you what that menu item does, and you can hit the C4 button to get out of that menu as well. All right, so now let's get started with the top 5. The first item that I change is different settings for movies and stills. So this camera allows us to have different settings for movies and stills. However, it is not enabled by default, and so this is one of the things that you want to quickly change. And to get to that, we're going to go over to the briefcase tab right here, and you want to go on to page 3, which says operations customized, and you're going to see the menu here, different sets for still/MV. Now I want to change that, and I want to have different settings for my aperture, different settings for my shutter speed, different settings for ISO, different settings for exposure compensation, but I don't really use exposure compensation, so I will turn that off. For metering, I made turn metering on. Picture profile for sure. White balance I will leave, because most of the situations the white balance in the scenario where you are shooting may be the same for both picture and still, so I'll leave that. Focus mode, yes, I will also like that to change, and then go okay to get that saved. The next setting that I want to change is the power settings. So to change the power settings, we're still in the briefcase tab. However, we want to go down to the page number 9 right here, and you can see the power options right here. The auto power off temp, you want to set this to high. By default is on standard. You want to move that to high. So setting number 3 that I want to change is dynamic range optimizer. What dynamic range optimizer does is that it tries to optimize the dynamic range for your JPEGs, and it only affects your JPEGs, by the way. So if you're shooting RAW, it doesn't affect the RAW files, but because your previews is always playing the JPEG file, I want to be able to make sure that the JPEG exposure matches the RAW exposure as much as possible. So turn off that dynamic range optimization. To turn that off, we're going to go to the exposure tab, and to get to that exposure tab, you can quickly just cycle through, get here to the exposure tab, and as you can see, we do not see that setting here, and that's because currently I am in movie mode. So you want to switch from movie mode to the photo mode, go back into the menu. Now you should see that you have more options under the exposure tab. So let's go down all the way down to page number 6, color and tone, and then you can see dynamic range optimizer. It's on by default. Set this to off. Okay, so the next setting I want to change, setting number 4 that I want to change, is the display quality. Now I want to make sure that the back screen as well as the EVF is giving me the best preview as much as possible. And so to have that changed, let's head over into the menu settings again. And this time we're going to go to the setup page one more time. So the briefcase icon, and we're going to go down to page number 7, find that monitor. And in here, you're going to see display quality. And right now it's set to standard by default. I will change that to high and also change the finder frame rate to high. And as you can see, because these two are usually tied together, display quality gets disabled, but you want to make sure that your finder frame rate is also set to high for that purpose. Now, the last thing that I always change is not in the menus, but it's also very important. That is my default autofocus mode. Now, by default, if you hit the C3 key on your keyboard, it will bring you to your focus modes, right? And by default, you can see it's on AFA. I don't like AFA as much. Personally, I feel like it doesn't give you the best accuracy in autofocus. So by default, it's set to AFA. I always switch that straight away to AFC. Focus modes are something that you will change all around from time to time, but by default, the default mode I don't like, so I always make sure I switch over to AFC. Okay guys, so that's it for this video. If there is any setting that you think should be in this top 5 that I have missed, leave me a comment down below and I will make sure I respond to you as quickly as possible. Stay blessed, keep creating, and I will see you in the next video.